Hello viewers, welcome back again for yet another video about profiling FIDA members that have empowered women and contributed to the gender equality norm. So today I am having one of the amazing women that have contributed to empowerment and gender equality. She's an advocate, a lawyer, really done well in the academia section, and we can't wait to hear about the amazing things she's done. So please let's welcome Miss Alinda Ikanza.
Thank you. Thank you, Isa.
Yeah.
It's such an honor to be profiled. I was saying to you that I'm not sure I meet the criteria, but I'm very honored to have this conversation.
So I would like to start it off by just getting to know who you are, talking about yourself and what you do.
So my name is Alinda Ikanza, and I think that my first role right now is as a mother to 4 amazing girls. The oldest of them is 10 and the youngest are 4. So they consume a big chunk of my life. I'm also married to Ikanza. He's been my best friend for the last 17 years. We've been married 12 of those. Yeah, so that's who I am. And of course, I'm a lawyer. I practice the law. I am a partner at Amber Solicitors and Advocates. And then I teach. I've been teaching law for about 9 years now. And I don't think that I consider myself academia, but I teach at LDC, and it's more skills building and professional training. So I guess we don't really think about ourselves so much as in the academia. But yes, I've had the honor of teaching trial advocacy for about 9 years, and I have had, particularly at LDC now, I am the head of trial advocacy and MOTS. Yeah, and then I have a part where that is becoming, I think, what will be my future in the practice of law, which is how we can innovate the law, how we can make sure that the law does not become obsolete, remains relevant, and what the role of technology in doing that is. Yeah, so I also have an app called Cnsl app.
Okay, that's amazing. So where did you work before this position?
Okay, so I started out the practice of law with Namba and Company Advocates, and I was also working with the Federation of Uganda Employers. I was training employers in what back then was the new labor laws. Now they are, so many, over a decade old. Yeah. From there, I moved into a corporate job at Bolloré Africa Logistics as their legal manager, and then I left and came back to private practice because my heart has always been in private practice, and sort of pushing paperwork burns the fire out of me.
It's true. If you're an enthusiast of private practice,
yeah,
do paperwork. Yeah, I understand. So do you have any hidden talents or hobbies?
I do, actually. Although I don't like to admit it, I am a comedian. Like, wow. I can actually make people laugh. I have friends who have said to me that I should consider stand-up comedy. I would win. But how would I be? How would I be a lawyer? How would the judge know when I'm serious when I show up in court? But I can really crack people up. Or I'll be invited to something, and I'll say, why are you inviting me? And they say, we want to laugh. I'm like, seriously, I'm offended. But then I'm also very good with words. I find it very easy to write very persuasively, to present ideas. So I don't do as much poetry as I used to do when I was younger, but I express myself with so much ease.
So what's the most exciting part of your job?
I think it's helping people. We've been very fortunate. I have been very fortunate. If it wasn't for people literally getting out of their way to make sure that I went to school, to make sure that I had a good education, to train me in the different things that I now can prosper at, I wouldn't be here. My mom died when she was giving birth to me, and I was raised by a family that I would even find myself arguing that no way, these have to be my natural parents. It can't be any other way. And their people really became my people, you know. So that being the recipient of such generosity and such loyalty and investment, I'm most fulfilled when I'm giving back, when I'm helping. Yeah. And it can be many things. It can be whether it's my real work or whether it's a student or whether it's a stranger. I'm most fulfilled if I can improve someone's situation anywhere I can.
Yeah, we need it now instead of, you know, the division that I don't know you're a stranger. If we have more people like you who pay it forward and make people's lives better, the world will be a better place. So, who inspires you?
So I believe that the measure of who you are is determined by the company that you keep, the people you call your friends, the people you work with. And I have been very fortunate to have kept friends for such a long time that are actually really amazing people. Right. So my greatest inspiration comes from some of my peers who do such amazing work. But I was also nurtured professionally. I was nurtured by two great litigators. A Ugandan one is Nelson Nerima. He was my first boss, and he is meticulous in his preparation, in his delivery, in his principles. And I think that as a young lawyer coming out of LDC, going under the wings of such a person set my bar and standard very high. And then I have an American friend of mine called Steve Fury, who introduced me to teaching advocacy, and he's such a great teacher. And he, over the years, he has really invested in making us better teachers and making sure that you don't just teach in the classroom, but you build relationships with the people that you teach or that you teach with in a way that impacts their fuller lives. And I also work with your chairperson, Miss Lydia Namuri Lubega, Mrs. And she is one of my mentors. She probably doesn't even know, but every time I have a dilemma, she is one of those people whose opinion I can trust, because she will give it to me, and I will have the freedom of whether to take it or not, and I will still count on her support. So I think that if I were to single out the lawyers that have mentored me, it's, I think, those three.
Wow, that is so amazing. So what originally got you interested in the current field?
I think I knew from when I struggled with math, which was very early in my education, that I may have to be a lawyer, because I was told that yes, I was told that as a lawyer, the only math you'll have to deal with is counting money, and on that one I'm very good. So, but on a serious note, my dad was a lawyer, and his dad was a lawyer.
Wow.
And I grew up, you know, listening to torts. What is a tort? What is a misdemeanor? And the books, they were always big, and for me that didn't scare me. That actually fascinated me. Yeah. So I think that from as early as P6, I knew that I want to be a lawyer.
Wow.
But then the strange thing is that my biological dad was a teacher. He was a professor. He was a literature professor, and I've always loved teaching. I've always been a teacher, whether it was in a Sunday school or trainings or, you know, whatever it was. So I'm not surprised that I'm teaching law.
So when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up?
So I wanted to be a lawyer, really. Yeah,
Wow.
I wanted to be a lawyer when I grew up. I think at some point I wanted to be a model.
Okay.
But I don't know at what point that flew out of the window. Because I remember myself, I walk as though like my natural walk is a catwalk, and everyone recognized that, and so many times say you'd make a good model, but I fall just as easily as I walk. So the falling disabused me of the idea very quickly.
Amazing.
Yeah, but I think I've always wanted to be a lawyer.
Wow, that's cool that you live in what you've always wanted to be. So what motivates you? What?
So I think that knowing that there's a verse in the Bible that says that to whom much is given, much is expected. And I have been very fortunate in my life. I have had so many people invest themselves in me. I've had opportunities that my siblings did not. I've been very blessed. Even when I make the most stupid decision, I still somehow get the best benefit out of it. And I what motivates me is to give, to deliver to the same level of investment, to the same level of excellence that is expected with that investment. Yes, because I know so many women, so many young girls who would not have the same journey that I did, and I think that I owe it to them to be a good example, to pave ways for them, to break ceilings where I can, and keep all of us getting farther than we could without help.
So what's the career highlights of your job, your journey?
I think that the highlight was being awarded Best Female Lawyer in Private Practice in 2000 and, I think it was 2019. I think it hit me by surprise because I know so many fine women lawyers, and I do not think that I once again fit the criteria, but it was such an endorsement from my peers, and it frightened as much as it honored me. Yeah, and in many ways it sobered me to the reality of some of the work that I do, and to take it even more seriously, or not more seriously, not that I wasn't taking it seriously, but to embrace the fact that I am gifted in certain ways, and I must make those gifts count.
What role do you want to take on after this one?
It's a big battle in my heart, but I think that I cannot shy away from public leadership much longer. I think that the world is in need of leadership at so many levels, and like that poem that Nelson Mandela used once said, "You're playing small does not serve the world." You know, you cannot hide the light in who you are, and you cannot put a cup on top of a candle and then hope that it will. Yeah. So I think that I would like to offer myself for, not politically or anything, but I would like to lead in a public capacity.
And so how would your 10-year-old self react to who you are?
I think they would be so amused. They would think I'm too serious for how I should have turned out. Yeah, I was very playful, you know. I was the kind of student that the teacher has to put here if the whole class is going to be quiet. So I think that they would think to themselves, "Why are you so serious? What happened to you?" Yeah.
So what's your biggest fear?
I think my biggest fear is success.
That's different.
Yeah. I think I fear to be successful. I fear to take on ambitious programs, and then they succeed, and then before you know it, there you are. You can't even iron your simple clothes. You can't be in charge of your schedule. You know, you're owned by some bigger cause. Huh? You can't walk to a window and buy your second-hand stuff. Everywhere you go, someone will recognize you like, "Oh, I didn't sign up for this." So I think that at so many levels, sometimes when I realize how big certain ideas could go, I freak out. I sort of want to remain in my
Comfort
small,
zone.
yes.
Fear,
Maybe if I can find a balance where I don't do it myself. Yes.
Okay.
So as a result, I like to do a lot of work behind the scenes. Like I do not want to be the one that is out there, but I will support whoever is enjoying that spotlight as much as they need to remain there, so the rest of us can remain behind here. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. Because we always need people, like cheerleaders. And
Yes,
people that support
I am a very happy cheerleader for that purpose.
you. So do you speak more than one language?
Well, I think that when people ask that, they mean, do you speak more than one international language? Which for me is no. So I speak very good Runyankore. Yeah, like for my peers, my uncles and aunties might not agree. But for my peers, man, I'm good. I have a grandmother who's 99 and is one of my very good friends. She even knows how to quiz me, like in the middle of conversation. She'll say, what is that called in Runyankore? What is that relationship? Say, she's my aunt. What's the relationship? So I speak a lot, very good Luganda, so I do all those Runyachikara languages. I think that it has helped me be very versatile, because I can maintain a conversation with a broad spectrum of people and ages. And many times I think when people see you, they don't expect you to yes. So many times it disarms those that don't expect you to go further in a certain conversation, which is very empowering when you have to persuade people to your side. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Because I think speaking one language is really a limiting factor for
Yes.
one's career.
Yes.
And
And-
you know Uganda, then
Yes, and especially for us as lawyers, one of the reasons why the law is very limited right now is because it remains an English tool. You know, it uses only the English language as a tool. Yeah, and I think that we spend so much time on foreign languages without realizing that the most vulnerable people that need our services actually need the local languages. So as lawyers, I don't know how we can.
I think we need someone to translate all the legal sections.
But they might translate them, but you still will not have a conversation with someone.
Sure.
You know, law requires a depth of language, because when you have to, for example, interview somebody or translate for them a document, a will, how many of our peers can do that comfortably? Very few. How many can write an agreement, a simple agreement in Luganda? Huh?
I understand. I get your
It's
point.
I think it's something we are not taking as seriously, and yet the foundation of our profession is communicating. Yes.
Okay, so what's the skill you'd love to improve?
I think I'd love to improve who I am as a leader, and it's women are not told enough that leadership is a skill. It's actually a skill. Do you understand? The same way you learn how to present a case in court, you can learn how to help people gain consensus. You can learn how to structure activities and make sure that everyone's voice is heard, and that the different parts or people that are involved in that process have their needs met. And we don't have enough leaders. We have people in positions of leadership, but they're not leaders. They will do whatever they want. They will structure it without consulting anybody. They will push it down your throat, and if you refuse, you will be, or you're a source of negative energy, and you need to be discarded. And it's just simply a lack of leadership skills. So I think that is what I am really working on.
So with the 16 days of activism, looking about ending sexual gender-based violence,
Yes.
what message do you have to the young women and the women out there that you'd like to share as you look at the camera?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of sexual violence and gender-based inequality is rooted in not appreciating the value the true value of a woman and the whole glorification of more masculine qualities and the perception of feminine qualities as weaker or, you know, less important. But if the world has learned anything very recently, it is that we cannot all collectively achieve our goals if half of the population is still treated as though they were less human, as though they were not as important or as filled with potential as the other half. Okay, but I think that journey must start with women. And I know that we all come from very difficult situations, many times that we do not have control over. But if you know your value as a woman, if you have a purpose, and if you set your mind on certain principles, going back again to what we spoke about, knowing yourself, knowing who you are. And that source can come from many things. It can come from your religion, it can come from your family and upbringing, it can come from your profession, whatever it is that gives you that sense of purpose. The world cannot really put down a woman who knows her purpose as easily. And all these objectifying and the gender violence and the sexual harassment, I think that having a purpose and knowing why you are on this earth, which is something only you can do for yourself, liberates you at many levels. Yeah, and I think that I've always had a clear sense of my purpose on this earth. So that whether it was peer pressure or whether it was a wave that is going through, it didn't find me as easily swept over. You know, I've always been the kind of girl who doesn't even understand why women have to go to the bathroom at the same time. Like, what's up with that? Why must we all go? And I think that, of course, sometimes it has its advantages, but you really have to know your purpose so that you find something that anchors you and strengthens you to push back on all these other things that are going to be competing to eat you up. Yeah, because whether it's the guys who want to sell you makeup, just remember that they are trying to sell. You don't have to buy. Yeah, but if you want to buy, yes, you should buy. It's up to you. It's your body. But I think that a lot of that comes from knowing who you are.
Wow. There's nothing much I can add on top of that. You've had it for yourself. We've been with amazing Alinda Ikanza. She's such an inspiration to so many women. Glad I was a student. You don't know, I used to admire you back then. So anyway, I was, by the way. And in my law firm G3, I used to like litigate, and I was like the best litigator because I remember you scored me the highest. Yeah. So yeah, that was it for Miss Alinda Ikanza. Until next episode, I've been your host or interviewer, Naima Isa. Until next time, see you.